So I'll just kick things off by saying I really do enjoy watching any film where the love, passion, and just plain fun of the filmmaking process is evident in the final film. It's endearing and simply contagious, and this is certainly not always the case on something like a sequel, because the filmmakers are returning, the cast is returning, sometimes having to play the exact same notes once again. As such, I am very happy to report that that is not the case on Jumanji: The Next Level. The cast and crew were very clearly elated to return to this world, even if their characters weren't. And a lot of that probably came from the fact that the filmmakers and the cast very smartly switched up a lot of elements in this round 2. For starters, the actual mission that they were tasked with completing and the connecting environments/levels were all brand new, which certainly led to some rewardingly fresh visuals for the world of Jumanji. Though, as a brief aside, actually a couple of times while watching the film did find myself wishing that they had fully gone the Back to the Future 2 route, returning to the exact same levels, but just viewing them from a slightly different point of view. But speaking of different points of views, the characters themselves did in fact have dramatically different points of view in this film, which allowed Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and even Karen Gillan in one brief moment to really switch things up and adopt brand new and very fun to play personalities. Honestly, my favorite part about this film, as well as its predecessor, was the fact that in both of them, we actually got to see Johnson, Hart, and Black act. Of course, I am in no way aiming to disparage what those three actors normally bring to a film. I, in fact, love all three of their shticks and have shown up to film after film to see it. Even so, it is quite exciting to see them, especially at this point in their career where they really don't have to, challenging themselves to do something fresh and interesting. It's just fun. And I should also give some credits to Jake Kasdan, this film's director, for really challenging them in healthy ways to do so. Something else that I really appreciated about this film, which was certainly a carryover from the first film, was just its very earnest desire, in ways, to present really solid characters with decent character arcs. Though this often felt quite heavy-handed, it was at least nice that the filmmakers spent a solid 15 minutes, for example, outside the world of Jumanji to reestablish the characters and their individual hopes and desires. Now, while I did indeed appreciate the sincere effort on the filmmakers' part to craft very dimensional characters, and did indeed find Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black very hilarious in their characters, bringing something fresh and new to the table for me to enjoy, those wins could really only sustain my investment in this film for about 45 minutes, and after that point, things started to drag, really drag. So much so that I could have sworn, genuinely, that this film was well over 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes, when in fact it was closer to 100 minutes. So even with the mountains of fun, charisma, and quirkiness collectively brought by the actors, and just the cornucopia of very exciting, fun set pieces that Jake Kasdan threw my way, none of it could fully make up for this film's quite significant pacing issues. Part of that understandably sprang from the fact that this film needed to work for someone who had never seen any previous Jumanji films, which meant that they had to exposit a lot of the information that people like me had heard before, but the problem was the way that it was exposited was almost identical to what I'd seen previously, making it very uninteresting and not all that fresh at all. But far more egregious than that was the fact that this film's director just did not know how to cut out of a sequence or take the air out of moments. Everything was drawn out so much. So, even while, like I previously mentioned, I did appreciate the fact that the filmmakers clearly had this earnest desire to craft decent character arcs for this film's characters, the way that they went about doing that was so often stilted and just momentum interrupting. So, for example, as the film started out, instead of showing us how these characters needed to change and why they needed to change, which is a great way to establish a character arc, they simply hit the pause button and told us, having the characters verbally exposit, so back in the day, a few months ago, this thing happened, or I had this argument with so-and-so, or I saw such and such thing which left me in this specific place. And as such, the aforementioned character arcs, which again, this film so desperately wanted to include, really were done so through a series of dull conversations that occurred without much justification between action set piece after action set piece. Something else that I thought of a number of times while watching this film was the fact that the writers weren't maximizing the fact that this film took place in a video game. Sure, there were elements, many of which we'd already seen in Welcome to the Jungle, like the fact that the characters had lives, they respawned, there were NPC characters, and those elements were clever and fun. But there was so much more they could have done to creatively mimic the unique elements, parameters, and limits found within a video game. At the end of the day, Jumanji: The Next Level is going to do really well at the box office, and I'm happy for it. I just wish that the filmmakers had a little more time to craft something that was that much tighter and that much more focused and creative. And for all these reasons, I will give the film a 3 out of 5. I would still love to know what you guys thought of the film, though, so definitely comment below and let me know. And finally, please do subscribe. I'm going to continue to review films and television on this channel, and I would love for you to stay up to date on all of those things. But for now, I'm Chris Hartwell. This is The Heartbeat. Thank you for joining me.